I will tell you right now, both of my children are in the living room, which is where I'm at. They should be okay. If they interrupt, I apologize. That's just the story of my life right now. My husband had to travel to, well, not really travel. He's just going to pick up a van in Phillip, but he's still working. So sometimes they forget that mommy is too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know the governor is speaking sometime soon, so if anybody hears anything, please feel free to interrupt. I know it's on everybody's mind of what's going on. This is like your basic, I've never been in Google Classroom. I just want to see, like, is this for me, setting it up type of a situation. So like I said, I'm going to open up my workflow. If you go to that website that I gave you, oh, that's no problem, Jana. It's no problem. You don't have to have your camera on if you don't want to. I just have it on because I feel like you should probably see me. So these are step-by-step instructions on how to set your classroom up and how to do the basics within Google Classroom. Feel free to access it, copy it, do whatever to it. I will tell, and I'll show you later, but at the very bottom, there's this link right here that says excellent link for help. I just found this morning. One of my friends shared it on Facebook, and it's a really cool, like, kind of interactive site that would also be good for parents who are struggling or even kids who are struggling. But it's mostly for teachers. But please, you are more than welcome to use this. All right, so first things first is I'm going to go away from this real quick, and I'm going to log into my Google Classroom. Now, if you notice, I open up a new tab, and when I open this up and I go over here to my account, this is my Thai Gaps account, so this is one of my work accounts for Thai. I cannot use this or my personal account to reach any kind of students in the K-12 system. You have to log in through Google through your K-12 account. Everything is the same. Your password is the same. It's like logging into your email. So you need to make sure, and I cannot say this enough, but you need to make sure that you are logged into Google through K-12, not through your personal account. I had a frantic phone call from a friend of mine this morning. She's like, I can't find my Google Classrooms. My students can't get in. And I said, are you logged in your personal account? She said, yes. I said, that won't work. Domains do not, you cannot go from domain to domain, which means you can't go from personal Gmail to K-12. It has to be K-12. All right, Carrie just put in the chat, Governor Noem said we're out till May 1st, at least. I'm sure there's going to be an at least in there somewhere.
Do you hear that? We're out till May 1st.
I don't think I have a very happy first grader right now. Okay, back to Google Classroom. By the way, if at any time you have questions, you're more than welcome to use you can talk. It's not a problem. Please interrupt. Or you can use the chat function on Zoom, and I have the chat right up on my other screen. I'm running two screens right now, and you are more than welcome to just, oh, I'm sorry, Carrie. You're more than welcome to add questions to the chat, and I will answer them as we go. So you have to be in K-12. I'm not in K-12 right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and you can see, don't be appalled by the amount of Google accounts I have. I'm going to go here to my carrie.kennedy@k12.sd.us. Once I do that, I've logged in through my K-12 account before. If you have not, if you are someone who's using Google for the very first time, which is fine, it will take you through a single sign-on for the K-12 domain. You've probably seen that before. Sign in with your username, your K-12 email address, and your regular password, just like you do, and it will automatically sign you into Google. This is the way your students also sign into Google. They use their K-12 email and their K-12 password. So I'm logged in as Carrie Kennedy or Carrie.Kennedy at k12.sd.us. And you go to the waffle. So once you're in the waffle, you're going to look for Google Classroom. And you are here. Now at this point, I'm going to put both my screens up. I'm going to go here. Let me move this over a little bit. Bear with me for just a second. Split my screen. And now I've got the workflow on one side and I've got my Google Classroom on the other side. And I'm only doing this so that you guys can see what I'm doing and where it corresponds in the workflow. So this is my test classroom. Yes, Melissa, I sure am. No problem. Yep, I'm gonna post it. I can actually email it to you, Melissa, but then I'm gonna also post it on that SD education site that we're all on, and I'm gonna post it in that Rapid City Facebook site. I will archive it. It'll take about an hour because it's got to upload to my computer, and then I've got to do the process. And I have another webinar this morning or this afternoon. So, but yeah, I will for sure.
Thanks, Carrie.
No problem. Okay, so we want to create a class. When you're in Google Classroom, you have options at the little plus sign. You can either create or join a class. You as teachers would create, but students would actually, if they're logged into Google Classroom, students would hit the join class because you would give them a code if you were in class with them. There's another way, and we'll go through that, to add your students without them having to put in a code. You can see I have a couple different Google Classrooms in here. I was just testing. I make one every time I do one of these. This is one I've actually made for my own children who are sitting here doing, well, Douglas has not given elementary school digital work. They just do worksheets. So I add some things to their assignments. So I made one for my kids, and I added them because my kids are in the K-12 domain. So hold on one second, please. Trenton, turn the TV down. Sorry. Now, not to worry about my kids' classes, but I will come back there and show you a couple things. I'm going to create a class. So I'm going to hit plus, and I'm going to hit create. Class name, I'll just do Test Tuesday. And you name it whatever you like. If you have different classes, so if you're teaching 7th grade math and you want to create one for each of your math sections, you can create like period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4. Yeah, Tara, we had the same issue the other night, right? So it doesn't matter. You can put what subject you are, and you can put your room number. I wouldn't put my room number. Really doesn't matter at this point, but you might want to do sections, because when you do that, and I'm going to show you, but when you create assignments, you don't have to recreate them in every single section. There's going to be a way to copy the class to multiple sections. So yeah, Becca, you can copy the same class to multiple sections. Well, you can copy assignments. You'll have to create the class. Sorry. You make your classes and then you copy assignments. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. It's going to take a second. What it's doing is it is not just creating your classroom, it's also going to create a folder in your Google Drive. And I'll go to that in a little bit, but it's creating a folder just for this class, which helps organizationally and will help as you give assignments out too, especially if you're asking for them to send you things back, then you will have folders for all of your assignments. So that's how you create a class, that easy. Hit the plus, make the class, and you're done. Once you get in here, you have a classroom theme. So you can select a theme or you can upload your own photo. If you select the theme, you have all sorts of options. If you're a math person, you can come over here. If you are anything, they have all of them, but there's even other. So you have options, but if you like to make your own, over here on the workflow, it says upload or create your own classroom headers. There's a link right here to create a Google Classroom custom header so that you can create your own picture. You can create it in Canva. There's other ways to do it. If you don't want to take the time to do that, it's totally understandable. But if that's what you like, then that's how you can use that, and it'll give you the right dimensions. Within your Google Classroom, there's 4 major parts. There's the stream. So think about the stream like Facebook. It's the constant, you can make announcements, you can communicate with your class, you can have chats here, like you could pose a question if you wanted to, and you could, or you can just make announcements. You can respond to students' posts. You can, and I will show you how, but you can make it so only you make announcements and so that students can't talk on your stream. It defaults to where people can comment on the stream. So if I posted an announcement like I did earlier in my other Google Classroom, I had some teachers respond to it and say, hey, did you remember that I asked you about this? And I was like, yes, I did, but I just got to that. So, and I shared my answer with her, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But you can restrict this area to where only you talk, not your students. That's totally up to you. And maybe at first you might want to do that just because this is all new and you don't know what they're going to say, depending on your age group. Middle schoolers sometimes push the limits and write things they aren't supposed to, as do, I'm sure, high schoolers and elementary schoolers. But this is the stream. There's not a lot about the stream. It's seriously just you can put different things here if you want to. So you click where it said click to make announcement. I can't talk, sorry guys. So you choose which class you want to do it to. Again, now, if I want this to go into all of my classes, here is the point where I can choose. I want this announcement to go to all 3 of these classes right now. And then I don't have students in all of my classes, so you could, if I had students in there, you could pull it up. Let me pick a class that I do have students in. And if I can't take it out, sorry. This, if you had students loaded into your class, this would be there, so you could take certain students out if you didn't want them to see the announcement. Now, share with your class. All right, not Gawk. Governor Nome says no school until at least May 1st. So here's my announcement. I could add something to my announcement. Yes, I'm going to show you how to add students, and yes, they have to have a K-12 email. I'm just going, Katie, I'm going through this workflow, and so I'm going through every piece of this first. Students is under people, so we will get to students when we get to the people part. If you want to put something from your drive, you can put a link in, you can put a file, or you can do a YouTube video. If you are uploading YouTube videos, it goes right to YouTube because Google and YouTube are owned, or Google owns YouTube. You can search right here. I always go to Kid President. And there is a pep talk, and I can add it right here. I don't have to go find a link. I don't have to go into YouTube. I can do it right from here. It didn't take. There we go. Okay, it did take. It was just taking a little bit. I have kiddos streaming, so it's good possibility that my internet's a little slow. You have options. You can post it now, or you can save it as a draft. And then there are sometimes where it will let you schedule. I'm not sure why that's grayed out. We'll look at later on that because it shouldn't be grayed out. But I'm gonna go ahead and post it now. It will automatically post right to your student's classroom. When I was doing this the other day with my kiddos, I changed something in my son's stream and it pulled right up. And so now they will see this and then they would be able to watch the videos that you showed them. And that's a stream. That is purely the stream, and there's not much to it. If you look right here, it says add class comments. I will show you how to change that. Like I said, it defaults to having class comments, but you can change it so nobody can comment. Or if you want them to comment, that's fine too. So for classwork, this is where you're going to assign your assignments. You can put quizzes in here, you can add questions, and then there are materials. Nope, it is embedded. Oh, you mean as a student? Tara, I don't know. I don't usually work out of it as the student. I work out of it as the teacher.
Okay.
My guess is that it might send you to YouTube, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can look later and look at Trenton's on his computer because I give him YouTube videos to watch.
Okay.
And I will let you know.
Okay. I think that some of our buildings still have YouTube locked.
Okay.
So that would be a question in for rapid schools.
Yep. And I have a Google Classroom, like when I made my own classroom for teachers to join that have resources in it, and I'm posting updates in there as I find answers to that. So I can easily find the answer to that. I just have to pull Trent's computer up. I got to look at it through a kid's eyes rather than mine. So for announcements, or not announcements, sorry, assignments, like I said, you have 4 choices: assignments, quizzes, questions, and materials. You hit create and it gives you the option of any of them. I'm going to do assignments first. So with assignments, everything is the same in Google. You always give something a title. It will always ask you if you want instructions that are optional, and then there's this add and create. Can we sign on as a student to see what they are seeing? Only if you know their username and password. Then you would be able to. I can do that at the very end, Lynn, for sure. I know I can get my son to give me his password because he knows it. It's got some massive, it's got dashes and all these things. So I don't know it, but I can easily look at his. You have to give your assignment a title. And then if you want instructions, you give instructions. And then down here, you have your options. Do you want to add something from your Google Drive? Do you want to add a link? Do you want to add a file, or do you want to add a YouTube video? A lot of people add links because they want kids to look at something or go to a website. This is great for elementary kids who have a really hard time typing in those links. It will link anything right to your Google Classroom. So like Wonderopolis is really popular right now, especially with elementary kids. So if I wanted someone to watch a Wonderopolis, I can just add the link and then I can give them instructions on what to do. Maybe I want them to watch one of the Wonderopolis videos and read one of the articles, and then I want them to write a reflection on it. Well, that's really easy to do. So here's your video. And of course I would write the instructions for that. And then I'm going to hit create. And I'm going to create a Google Doc. It's going to take me to that Google Doc. I'm going to name it. Maybe I'll spell it right. Oh my. It's my birthday. I get to spell things wrong. And then you can put directions in here for your students. You want them to write a 2-paragraph reflection. You don't have to write. You can have your instructions in your Google Classroom. It doesn't matter. I want you to write a 2-paragraph reflection on the Wonderopolis Wonder of the Day. Google automatically has saved this to my Google Drive. It knows I'm in Classroom. So I'm going to just X out of it. You'll notice right here, my Google Doc is already there. Now it says it's untitled because it hasn't updated yet, but if I click on it, it's that same document that I just came out of. So it says untitled, but that's because they're not, Google Classroom and Google Docs just didn't talk to each other about it yet. I'm gonna X back out. You have options here. You can have your students only be able to view that paper, which if you want them to write, you don't want them to do that. You can have them edit that paper, but unless you want all of your students to edit that, I highly don't recommend this option, because that would give every student the option to edit that one Google Doc. Or you can make a copy for each student. This is by far the most popular option. This is the one that people use when you want your students to do their own work and send it back to you. So if I make a copy for each student, I'm gonna go in, and then it's gonna send a separate copy. It's also gonna put their names on it, all the way out to every kid who's in your classroom. So Jim says you could also create a dummy student account and put it in your class. Not unless it's a K-12 account. You might be, Jim, I don't know if you have access to that, but unless you are using a K-12 student account, you cannot access it in your K-12 Google account. It has to be K-12. And then Christina Henry said, if you want more than one student work on the same Google Doc, can they see each other's responses and reply? Then do we use the edit option? Yes, Christina, that is when you use the edit option. If you want them more than one student working on it, that's when you would use the edit option for sure. And Jim, if you know something more than I do about the K-12 accounts, please feel free to jump in, but we've been told by technology people that K-12 accounts, the domains do not, you can't do a Gmail and a K-12 account. So I'm gonna hit, I have options here. This is where I can assign, I can schedule, and I can save a draft. If I'm not ready to give this out yet, I can schedule it, or I can save it as a draft. If you schedule it, you don't have to come back to it. It's easy to, okay, sorry, Jim said it's new to me. Google was just open for us, so that's good to know. Yeah, there's dummy counts won't work if you're using your K-12 account. Anyway, I can schedule this. I don't have to come back to it. I want it to go out tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'm gonna hit schedule. This will go out to my class tomorrow at 8 a.m. And if I wanna go back to it and edit it, because I'm like, oh, I forgot I want them to do this, no problem. You just come over here, you hit the 3 dots, you hit edit, and then you hit schedule. And you fix it. And, oh, I forgot this part, I'm sorry. You can choose your classes. Oh, I messed that up, there we go. You can choose your classes if you want different classes, and then you can make it worth points, or you can make it ungraded, or if you wanted 50 points, you can change it. You can give it a due date, so you know if they turn it in on time or not. You can give it a topic. I'll talk about topics in a minute. And there are rubrics. I have not done a lot with the rubrics before. I know teachers do use them. You can create your own. You can import rubrics. You can reuse a rubric. That's for another day. And then there's this originality report. These are new. So this is kind of like turnitin.com. Turnitin is gonna kind of search Google for plagiarism. It's not exactly like Turnitin. It's definitely not as comprehensive as Turnitin. Turnitin is way more comprehensive, but it's also paid for. This is brand new. This is something that they do. So Nicole says, is there a way to copy assignments between classes? So if I create an assignment for one class, then I can copy it to another. So you can go here where it says for, and you can just check off these classes that you want it to assign it to. Is that what you were asking, Nicole? Okay. And then Rebecca says, when students submit, do we receive a report? You can, pretty sure the defaults will, there are things you can turn on and off. You can get notifications, and I will show you where you can go to see where their work is. But there are notifications. You can get notifications set up in your email, and you can turn off notifications if you don't want them. So Becca, it's kind of similar to Canvas. You can turn on and off the notifications, but no, there's no like a report. It'll just send you an email. So now I want to assign this. I'm going to hit assign. Students will see their assignment in their streams immediately. So I'm going to hit assign. And that's my assignment. If I want to, I can, and I'm going to do that in a few minutes. Sorry. So you can also do a quiz assignment. Quizzes default to Google Forms. If you are not familiar with Google Forms, we are going to do I am going to do some webinars next week on making quizzes with Google Forms. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this, but again, you give it a title, you give it the instructions, and then here you go over to blank quiz. And then this is where you build your quiz. So you have options. You can have multiple choice questions. You can have short answer. You can have paragraphs, check boxes, all of these types of things. So if I was doing, obviously this is very basic. If I go and I do 3 plus 7 and then I give options, I guess I should put the right answer. And then over here where it says answer key is where I can choose what my right answer is. So 7 plus 3 is 10. And then I can choose my points. So if I want this to be worth 10 points, and I can hit done. And so you can also make things required. And that will force the students to be able to, they have to answer those questions before they can turn it in. I saved it. I put a title on it. It's gonna automatically save, and then I can go back to my Google Classroom. Again, it's already saved. My internet connection is unstable. That's awesome. And again, you choose which classes you want it to go to. You choose how many points it is. You can choose a topic and all of those types of things. So Nicole answered the question for Rapid City. However, for anybody who's not here with Rapid City Schools, if you use Infinite Campus, Google Classroom will hook up to Infinite Campus. So if you are at a district that is using Google Classroom and Infinite Campus, they do connect. Your TechCo can easily connect the two. As long as you're using your K-12 account, it has to be through your K-12 account. So I've got to have it titled. And then you just have the same options. You can assign or save a draft. I'm going to assign it. Currently, my internet connection is a little unstable, so it's taking time. The same thing happens with the question in a material. A question is simply a question you want to pose. Do you want them to watch a video and then have a short answer? This is what you would do here. So, how are you? I want them to have a short answer. I'm not going to add anything right here. And then I'm just going to hit ask. Now over here, I want to make sure students can either reply to each other and students can edit their answer. So do you want them to be able to go to edit their answer, or do you want them to reply to each other? Or you can do both. I'm going to hit ask. Now that's going to come up on their account. And then finally, there's the material. I use this all the time in my Google Classroom. This is just things, websites that are useful. And you just take the link of what you want. Doesn't matter. Again, you can add your link, your file, your YouTube video, or your Google Drive. And then you can post it, schedule it, save draft, wherever. And you can always pick your classes every time. They're the same exact thing. And all this workflow goes exactly in order of what we just did. Probably in a little more detail. All right, people. No, I lied. Back to classwork. I'm going to go open up my Google Drive, and I want to show you what you're going to see. I got to get back in my K-12 account, because if I tried to do it in my TIE account, that would not work. I'm going to go over here to Drive. Google Classroom automatically makes this classroom folder for you. Like, I did not make this, Google Classroom made it for me. So I go into Classroom, and you'll see it automatically made all of my classes. It automatically made folders for them. So I'm going to go into Test Tuesday, and you can see that it made me folders for my Test 2 assignments. So I go over here, and nobody has given me any, nobody's given me any work back, so there's nothing in here. But if your students had submitted their work to you, from that assignment, you would automatically see it in this folder. Shelly, you have to go in to, so Shelly asked, how do I sign into my K-12 account? You need to go over here to where your Google account is, and you need to add a new account and sign in with your K-12 email and your K-12 password. It's the same thing as how you would sign into your own email. You just have to do it through Google. So every time you make an assignment, we'll make a folder for you. Your students can put work into that folder, and this is where you access it. All right, people, how do I add my students? So since we're all at home and we're not in our classroom, you can go to invite students, and this is why it's so important too for your K-12 emails to be up. This has the entire K-12 population within here. So I'm going to use my son. His name's Trenton Kennedy. I just start typing his name, and here he is. Same thing for my daughter. So I can add students just by knowing their name. It will automatically bring them out. I can hit invite. And here they are. Now it says invited. This is the thing. Your students have to be able to log into Google and log into their Google Classroom in order for them to be able to access this. If they cannot get in there, if they don't know a password, we have to be able to get them their K-12 password. And I know that's where some of the issues come in. Students have to be able to log into Google to get into their Google Classroom. Once they are invited, it will pop up and they will be able to join their class. Now, maybe you're working on Zoom with your students and you're going to walk some of them through this. There's also a code. So let me go back to here. So there's a code right here that you could give your students. So they would have to log into the classroom. They log into Google Classroom, then they hit that plus just like you did, but instead of hitting create class, they hit join class. When you hit join class, they put that in. So there's two different ways to do this. You can invite students and then they have to go in and accept the invitation in Google Classroom, or you can get them on a Zoom and you can give them the code. Either way, they have to be able to log into Google. And there's no getting around that. They have to be able to log into Google. And if they need their passwords, like it's the same password as they would be using to log into Microsoft, to log into anything district related, but they have to be able to log in. I know I say that a lot, but you have to have the K-12 or else it won't work. Or you'll call me and be like, it won't work. You can add a co-teacher. So if I wanted Tara to co-teach with me, I could just type her name in and I can put her here and I can hit invite. So if we are teaching together and I invite Tara, then she is going to be able to access everything teacher-wise that that I do. And Tara, you would have the same exact rights that I do in the class. You would be able to do assignments, everything. We would just be co-teachers in the class. I'm not really going to invite you to this so you don't get 45 notifications. Just giving that out for you. So Katie asked, how do students log into the K-12 accounts? They do the same exact thing that you did. They get onto Google, they go over and they sign in. Once they hit sign in or add new account or however you do it, I would have to put add another account. They might just have to hit sign in. Or if they have their own personal Google account, they will have to sign out and then add a new account. And then they sign in with like trenton.kennedy@k12.sd.us. And then they would need their password. And that's the key right now is they've got to have a password. Shelly asked, that would be a question for your tech department. And I know it in, Becca, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it in Skyward? Isn't there K-12 passwords in Skyward? Or anybody? In Rapid City, I think they're in Skyward.
Yeah, they are. You can get them just from their homepage.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I couldn't remember. Thanks. Shelly said, is that for a set class, but not all of my classes? What do you mean? Can you explain that a little more, Shelly? Teacher invites? Yes, that's just for your set class. You would have, if you wanted like if you had 3 classes set up, and then you only wanted a co-teacher in one, you would go into just that one. Becca, so Katie said, does anyone know, is it the same as their Clever login?
It's not their first dot last at K-12. It's their first initial, last initial, that 4-digit code at K-12. So like I would be TK1234@k12.sd.us.
Gotcha.
And then their password is the capital T, capital K, dash, lunch code, capital RCAS.
Okay. And that's just for Rapid City. There are other people in here who are not Rapid City based. So you guys, it's a little different. It just depends on your district and how you guys have your email. It's your email and your password basically.
Yeah.
And how they're set up is different in each district. All right, so I told you I would talk to you about people and setting some restrictions. If I go over to class settings, so what I did is I'm under people, and then I'm going to go to this little guy right here, the gear shift, and it says these are my details. Obviously, I didn't fill all that out. I can get my class code here, so I can display it, copy it, reset it. I'm not going to reset it. So for my stream, here's where I can change some things. I can post and comment. So this says students can post and comment. Maybe you don't want them to post and comment on your stream. Students can only comment. So they can't post, but they can comment. And then only teachers can post and comment. So this is where you have some restrictions. And if you don't want anybody posting any announcements or talking on your announcements, you would do only teachers can post and comment. And then classwork on the stream, so you can show condensed notifications, show attachments and details, or hide notifications. I like condensed because I don't want every single email to come to me about every single kid. That would make me sad. And sometimes teachers hide notifications and then they just go into their folder and see what's been done. Show deleted items. Only teachers can view deleted items. So if you want to see deleted items, you can. Guardian summaries. So you can ask parents to come and you can log them into your Google account. I have not done that as a guardian. My son has one in his class, but I have not done that, so I don't know exactly what that looks like. But there are some, and I have them posted in my Google Classroom, but there are some examples of that. And you can also set up grading here. Obviously, if you want to grade things within Google Classroom, you can do it within here. I'm going to hit save. And then over here are grades. Now, I don't have any students, so I'm going to go to a different class so I can show you what it would look like. I'll go to this one. I have students in this one. See, this is my stream. This is the resources class that I've made, and Anne-Marie wrote me a message. I wrote her back. Looks like that. So grades. Oh, because I don't have any assignments. Oh, I'll go to a different one. How many classes can Carrie make? Okay, this is the one for my kiddos. And if I go over here, you can see here's my assignments. I have not graded any of Trenton's work because I'm not going to. Not in here anyway. I just have them. This is a great way for me to give them links, but you can grade anything, you can put it here. Obviously, like, there are people who are working in Canvas who this links up to Skyward. I obviously would use this for that particular reason. But if you are working in Google Classroom and you do have it hooked up to Infinite Campus, which is compatible, then this is a great tool. And you can go in and you can grade and you put their grades in right here. When you grade a paper, there's also rubrics that you can attach and you can grade it, and then those grades would auto-populate. Again, this is like your basic beginner class. I would go more into detail in a more advanced type class. This is basic. How do I get my kids on here? How do I use this type of a situation? Does it export to Excel? So Google Forms does export to Excel. So if I come back over here, I have to change my account out because it automatically defaults to my work account. And I go to my drive. Might have actually wanted my work account. Nope. So let's say somebody took this quiz. I could go to responses. And then right here, it says create a spreadsheet. So let's say I had 20 kids or 50 kids take this. I could create a spreadsheet, and then it's going to make a Google Sheet, which you can turn into Excel, but it's the same thing as an Excel sheet. So you can also, if you need to make a CSV, I think you can make a CSV out of a Google Sheet. I don't know that I've tried, but you could always export it to Excel and make a CSV to put it into Skyward if you needed to. But most grades are going to come from here, and then with your classes, let me look. I'll do a spreadsheet. That might be something I need to look into. Let me double check on this part, Shelly. I'm not sure, and I don't want to say yes or no. I don't see anywhere that you can, here we go. Copy all grades to a Google Sheet, download all grades as a CSV, or download these grades as a CSV. So if you needed it to go into Skyward, if you had Skyward, you could download your grades as a CSV and put it right into Skyward, if that's what you're doing. A little bit kind of a extra step, but if you don't have Infinite Campus, that's an option. I love the little gear. I should use it more often and see what we have. So then I think that's most of our workflow. We added teachers. So I'll show you what I found today at that link. So the excellent link for help. This is not mine. I did not create it. I found it and thought it was awesome. One of my friends posted it. So the Google Classroom cheat sheet. Are you looking for something in particular and maybe it's not on that workflow? All of these are, like, if I click on deleting or muting students' comments, it shows me how to do it, which I thought was pretty cool. So I linked it. I'm not taking credit for it. Whoever created it should get the credit for it, but feel free to use it. I thought it was pretty neat. It has all of these. They're all, I'm not even sure what program they use, but it's pretty awesome. Can we, so Lynn says, can we get the classroom code from your Google class if we need help or have questions later? Absolutely. In fact, that was my next step. So I think I closed out of my Google Classroom. Let me get back in and I will give you the address. If you want access to my Google Classroom, so because I post things in it and I post videos and all of those things, you can join class. So again, you would want to go into Google Classroom and then you're, instead of hitting create class, you're going to hit join a class. So on the plus, you would hit here and hit join class. And I will give you the code. There's my code. And I encourage you to ask questions. I get updates from it. You can turn off like the stream feed. You don't have to, get notifications. I showed you guys how to do that. If you don't have to join this class, trust me, there's lots of resources out there, but I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have. We are here to help. I will, like I said, I am putting together some more webinars for next week. I'm going to do a couple more Google things since a lot of people aren't always familiar with Google, just basics of the Google apps for education. So I'm going to do a couple of those. Check out, if you don't know, Ty has a website and there is a calendar, and I'll put that back up, I promise. Yep, I have a schedule of all my webinars. So Katie, if you go to that Ty website, and if you just go to ty.net, it's linked there. But if you look under help and then webinars, these are the webinars that are scheduled right now. There's 2 of us who are doing the webinars. I am scheduling more next week. I just haven't done it yet because I haven't had time. So today, I'm doing all of these next week, and then I am going to also do some Google ones. I just haven't created them yet. So they should be updated. I'll be honest, I'm probably going to take partial part of the afternoon off to spend with my family since it's my birthday. But I should have them updated by tomorrow. And more webinars. Like I said, there's only 2 of us doing them right now. So if you guys can think of anything you want to have a webinar on, let me know. I will do it for you. It's just part of my job. I want to help as much as I possibly can. This is my jam. But if you have questions, let me know. Reach out. Let me put this back up for you. Oh, thank you, Becca. This is that Google Classroom resources if you want it. please join. And then my email, a lot of you know me, but this is my email. Please feel free to email me if you need anything. Thank you, Carrie. Absolutely. I'm so glad that I can help. And I will post when we're doing more webinars too on the Facebook sites, just so people know. This is the biggest webinar I've had so far. So there were 29 people at one point. So that was pretty awesome. And, but I just want to help any way that I can. So if you think of something and you're like, oh my goodness, I wish I knew how to do this, let me know. Well, I can schedule. And even if you just need one-on-one help, I can schedule time. It's not a problem. It's how I'm getting paid right now. But other than that, we're good to go. It's 11:23. Oh, thank you, Brandy. I appreciate it. No problem. I'm just going to leave this going for just a second so people, if they have questions. Otherwise, you guys are free to leave. Or you can stare at me. No problem, Jana. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, Shar. So what grade do you teach, Shar? So do they know? Oh, thank you, Lynn. Oh, you can ask questions today. I'm working. So my question would be, do they know their email and password first? Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Beth. Oh, Shelly, I'm glad the cake was delicious. I wish we could have shared too. One day. Soon, maybe after June. No problem. Thanks, guys. Well, so right now we're looking at something called the digital divide, right? And we have kids who have internet and we don't have internet. So in case you don't have the chat open, Chara had asked, where do I start? She teaches 5th grade. She thinks most kids have her emails and passwords, but not sure how many have internet. You kind of have to attack this at 2 different ways. You have your kids who do have it, and you have your kids who don't. For the kids that do, you set this up. You try to get the information out to them. I know a lot of teachers are using Dojo or Remind, things that they have set up with their parents to say, hey, I would love to, or here's a code. Can you get your kids on Google Classroom? This is their username. This is their password type situation. I know for the kids who don't have internet, a lot of schools are doing packets, which is great because you're still getting them that important content. It's not as maybe rich as if you are doing a video or you are doing a Zoom, but we can't fix that. Like, I know Vast is offering free internet to a lot of people. There's another provider that's offering free internet. There's nothing we can do to that. I would say, plan your lessons, try to get as many on as you can, and then make rich content. Take what you're doing and turn it into some offline content too. Okay, Midco also, which is good. I'm so glad. I actually wish they do this all the time, like do a $10 internet for students type situation. That would be fantastic, not just during a pandemic, but during the world, because this is the world we live in. And for them to have that would be so good. But that's my own personal whatever. But get as many on as you can. Find out who has it, who doesn't, and then have that rich content that you can still have for in a packet, and know that it's not necessarily fair. It kind of sucks that, but hopefully parents will take advantage of some of this free internet that they are giving. That would be my recommendation. Anything else, guys? Absolutely. Email me if you need anything, Char. Really, honest.